If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The whispers started quietly, almost like background noise in the NFL rumor mill, but now they've taken center stage and everyone is talking about it. Travis Kelce, the all-pro tight end and one of the league's biggest personalities, apparently unleashed a furious outburst that has the football world buzzing. According to sources close to locker room insiders, Kelce dropped a heavy line about Shedeur Sanders, the highly touted young quarterback now wearing Cleveland Browns colors, and it wasn't flattering. "That guy was never supposed to be in Cleveland," is the phrase that's echoing across social media feeds, podcasts, and sports bars from coast to coast. It's a line that cuts deep, not just because of its bluntness, but because it calls into question the entire decision-making process of the Browns organization. Fans are wondering if this is just trash talk, a competitive jab meant to stir headlines, or if there's something deeper here, maybe frustration over how the league is handling young stars, or a clash of personalities that could affect future rivalries. Whatever the reason, Kelce's anger has sparked a firestorm, and the Browns suddenly find themselves in the middle of a controversy they never asked for. The timing of this supposed outburst couldn't be more explosive. Cleveland has been desperately trying to shake off its reputation as a team stuck in mediocrity, always fighting to prove it belongs among contenders. With Shedeur Sanders stepping into the spotlight, the franchise hoped to inject energy, optimism, and maybe even a new identity around a young quarterback with swagger and a famous last name. But Travis Kelce's words landed like a thunderclap, threatening to unravel all that momentum before it even gains traction. Imagine the pressure on Sanders now. Every throw, every drive, every post-game presser will be dissected with Kelce's line hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Is he really not supposed to be in Cleveland? Does someone of Kelce's stature know something the public doesn't? Or is this just the raw emotion of a veteran who has seen the league chew up hype trains and spit them out? The Browns fan base, long-suffering but fiercely loyal, suddenly finds itself divided. Some are rushing to defend their new quarterback, while others nervously admit they've wondered the same thing. What makes this situation even more fascinating is the sheer weight Kelce's voice carries. He's not just another player sounding off. He's a future Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, and someone who understands the grind of the NFL spotlight better than most. When he speaks, people listen, and that makes his anger feel like more than just a passing comment. Reports suggest Kelce was visibly frustrated, almost shaking with intensity when he made the remark, and that energy has spilled into the headlines. Some insiders speculate that his comments could stem from scrimmage whispers, maybe a private workout session, or even something he's heard through the grapevine about Sanders' readiness for the NFL. After all, college success doesn't always translate to pro dominance, and while Sanders brings charisma and talent, the Cleveland spotlight is unforgiving. Kelce, known for balancing humor and competitiveness, rarely lets personal emotions boil over like this, so when he does, it's treated as gospel by fans and critics alike. The Browns might be shrugging it off publicly, but behind closed doors you can bet this line is being discussed in hushed voices, with coaches and executives scrambling to control the fallout. From a narrative standpoint, it's almost too perfect. The NFL thrives on drama, and this feels like the latest chapter in a never-ending soap opera that keeps fans glued to screens year-round. Kelce's fury colliding with Sanders' rise creates the kind of tension that networks dream about. The story isn't just about whether Sanders can play. It's about whether he belongs, whether Cleveland's gamble is destined to backfire, and whether a superstar like Kelce just exposed a truth no one wanted to admit. Sanders himself hasn't publicly addressed the comment, but people close to him suggest he's aware and determined to use it as fuel. For a young quarterback stepping into the lion's den, that mindset could be his saving grace. Still, there's only so much mental toughness can do when the entire sports world is waiting for you to slip. Every interception will be magnified, every mistake tied back to Kelce's phrase, and every victory scrutinized as a counterpunch. It's a storyline with staying power, and it may define not just the Browns' season, but Sanders' entire rookie narrative. Fans of Cleveland are in a strange spot because they know this type of attention usually spells trouble. They've seen their team become the butt of jokes before, and they've felt the sting of crushed expectations more times than they can count. Yet, there's also a stubborn pride in them, a belief that this time might be different, that Sanders could be the one to silence critics. But the truth is, when an athlete like Travis Kelce publicly casts doubt, it's nearly impossible to ignore. Suddenly, every question at press conferences shifts from game plans to Kelce's words. Even opposing defenses may latch onto this, looking to exploit the added pressure. That's the hidden danger, not just the doubt in fans' minds, but the ripple effect in the locker room. Teammates rallying around Sanders is crucial, but even the strongest locker rooms can fracture under relentless scrutiny. The Browns know this, which is why leadership is likely already strategizing how to control the narrative. But narratives have a life of their own, and right now, Kelce's fury is writing a story that Cleveland never wanted. This is where the broader NFL world steps in. Analysts on every network are salivating at the opportunity to dissect the drama, comparing Sanders to past quarterbacks who either rose above criticism or crumbled beneath it. Kelce's reputation as a truth-teller makes his anger even harder to dismiss, and some pundits are already asking whether his line will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If Sanders struggles early, expect endless montages of Kelce shaking his head with the phrase, "never supposed to be in Cleveland," splashed across the screen. But if Sanders thrives, the redemption arc will be irresistible, turning him into an underdog hero who silenced one of the league's giants. Either way, this story isn't going away. It's embedded in the DNA of the upcoming season, a subplot that ensures every Browns game will draw added eyes. For the NFL, this is marketing gold, but for Sanders, it's an uninvited challenge. And for Kelce, it's a mark on his otherwise calculated public persona, showing a side of him that's raw, fiery, and perhaps prophetic. The Browns, once again, are at the heart of the storm, and everyone is waiting to see how it unfolds. The most striking aspect of this entire situation is how it blurs the line between rumor and reality. Was Travis Kelce genuinely furious, or was his comment twisted, exaggerated, and amplified by the ever-hungry machine of sports media? That question alone has fueled endless debates, with fans on both sides digging in. Some argue that Kelce has always been outspoken and wouldn't hesitate to share his honest thoughts, even if they ruffled feathers. Others believe this is classic media sensationalism, a phrase plucked out of context and blown up into a narrative designed to ignite chaos in Cleveland. But regardless of the truth, the damage has been done. Once a line like "he was never supposed to be in Cleveland" attaches itself to a young player's name, it becomes part of the mythology. It becomes a reference point in highlight reels, debates, and social media jokes. And that's the cruel irony for Shedeur Sanders. Whether Kelce meant it or not, it's now out there, permanently etched into the storyline of his early NFL journey. The Browns, already a lightning rod for drama, now face yet another distraction, one that could define their locker room unity. Another intriguing element is how this impacts Shedeur Sanders personally, beyond the headlines and beyond the Browns organization. Remember, Sanders isn't just any rookie. He's the son of Deion Sanders, one of the most iconic athletes in American sports history. That name carries immense weight, and with it comes both privilege and pressure. For every door it opens, it also raises expectations to impossible heights. When Travis Kelce, a player who has cemented himself as one of the modern faces of the NFL, essentially questions Shedeur's place on a team, the echoes are louder than they would be for any other rookie. It's not just about Shedeur proving himself as a quarterback. It's about proving he belongs on a stage where his father once set the gold standard of swagger and excellence. The media is already feasting on this angle, framing it as a generational clash, the established star versus the son of a legend. Whether fair or not, Sanders is walking into the storm with his family's legacy strapped to his back. That makes Kelce's outburst not only personal, but symbolic, almost like a challenge to the Sanders name itself. What complicates the picture further is the fragile state of the Cleveland Browns franchise itself. This is a team constantly teetering between promise and collapse, with a fan base starved for consistency but scarred by decades of disappointment. The decision to bring Shedeur Sanders into the fold was seen as bold, maybe even desperate, a gamble to spark excitement where skepticism runs deep. For supporters, it felt like a chance to rewrite history, a potential turning point. But with Kelce's thunderous comment now hanging over Sanders, every misstep could be amplified as evidence that Cleveland once again miscalculated. That's the danger of narratives. They snowball, feeding off each game, each headline, until they overwhelm the actual on-field product. Even if Sanders performs admirably, the microscope on him will be so intense that small struggles may look like catastrophes. In many ways, the Browns are not just fighting for wins on Sundays. They're fighting for control of the story being told about them. Unfortunately for them, Kelce's fury has tilted the scales, putting them on the defensive before the season even hits its stride. Cleveland, as always, finds itself walking a razor-thin line between hope and heartbreak. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Let's also not underestimate how rivals and opponents will weaponize this. Trash talk is as much a part of the NFL as touchdowns and tackles, and you can bet defenders will use Kelce's line against Sanders on the field. Imagine stepping up to the line of scrimmage and hearing, "You don't even belong here," whispered across from a defensive lineman ready to take your head off. That kind of mental warfare can wear down even the most confident player, let alone a rookie still finding his rhythm. Sanders might smile it off publicly, but the NFL is relentless, and players remember every headline, every quote, every vulnerability. Travis Kelce's words gave opponents free ammunition, and that's a gift no rival will waste. Meanwhile, for Kansas City fans, this might feel like a peek behind the curtain, as if Kelce knows something others don't. For Cleveland, though, it's a nightmare scenario. Their new hope starting his career with a target painted on his back, thanks to one of the loudest voices in football. The Browns season is now not just about execution, but about resilience, a test of whether they can tune out the noise or let it consume them. It's important to recognize that Travis Kelce's fury doesn't exist in a vacuum. It reflects the culture of a league where opinions carry as much weight as performance. Kelce's voice resonates because he embodies credibility, but also because fans crave storylines that feel raw and unscripted. In many ways, his outburst plays directly into what the NFL thrives on: drama, personality clashes, and narratives that make every Sunday feel larger than life. Sanders is now cast as the underdog, not by virtue of being untalented, but by virtue of being doubted so publicly by a superstar. And fans love underdogs. Already you can see hashtags forming, memes circulating, and debates raging online. This is entertainment as much as it is sport, and everyone watching knows it. That's why Kelce's line is being dissected with surgical precision. It's not about the literal truth of the statement. It's about what it symbolizes, about how it fuels rivalries, about how it keeps eyeballs glued to every Browns snap. For the NFL, it's marketing gold. For Sanders, it's a trial by fire. The question isn't just whether he'll survive it, but whether he can transform it into the spark of his own legend. At the end of the day, this saga reveals something bigger about the NFL's ecosystem of hype, scrutiny, and performance. Shedeur Sanders was supposed to bring hope to Cleveland, a chance to flip the script and give the franchise a fresh face of leadership. Instead, thanks to Travis Kelce's fury, he's already walking into a battlefield littered with doubt and skepticism. And yet, maybe this is exactly the kind of adversity that forges stars. Legends aren't built when everything goes smoothly. They're born in the fire of criticism, in the moments when the world is betting against them. If Sanders rises above, if he takes Kelce's line and turns it into motivation, he could flip the narrative in spectacular fashion. Imagine the headlines if he beats the Chiefs one day, looking across the field at Kelce as if to say, "I do belong here." That's the stuff sports dreams are made of. Until then, though, the Browns remain at the center of the storm, and Kelce's fury continues to reverberate. It's not just a comment anymore. It's a storyline, a challenge, and perhaps the opening chapter of a rivalry no one saw coming. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!